Peace be with all of you. My name is Father Daryold Winkler. I am currently the pastor of St. Basil's Parish within the Archdiocese of Ottawa-Cornwall. I am one of 7 Indigenous priests in Canada. My mother, an Indigenous woman from Chaging First Nation on Manitoulin Island, was a survivor of the Indian day school system. My aunt and my uncle are survivors of the Indian residential schools in Spanish Ontario. And let me tell you honestly that I am all too aware of the damaging impact that my mother and her siblings experienced at these schools and how that impact has affected our families. It has been said, and I agree, that the consequences of the Indian residential school system have been felt in many ways by every Indigenous person in Canada. This is why I would like to speak to you about the importance of our Archdiocese's fundraising campaign in support of reconciliation, entitled A Christ-Centered Co-Journey Towards Healing. This campaign is to accrue the financial resources to support the initiatives of cultural renewal and healing of Indigenous people within our Archdiocese. But how do we measure the efforts of reconciliation being made here and throughout Canada? Former Chief Commissioner of the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, Justice Murray Sinclair, has said that we will see, for example, a diminishment of the percentages of Indigenous people who are incarcerated in Canadian prisons. At the moment, almost 50% of all incarcerated are Indigenous. We will begin to see a decrease in the number of the nearly 4,000 missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls across Canada, many of whom have lived within our own Archdiocese. There will be a decline in the numbers of Indigenous children taken from their homes and placed in foster care outside their communities. At the same time, we will see increases in the number of Indigenous youth graduating from secondary and post-secondary schools. In all of these instances and more, we will be able to measure the healing taking place among Indigenous peoples as a result of special initiatives which foster the cultural and spiritual flourishing of the most vulnerable and fragile peoples in Canadian society. You may have heard of that expression that when one of us heals, we all heal. I'm convinced that the healing of Indigenous peoples and our mutual reconciliation benefits all of us in Canada. Please be generous in support of reconciliation in Canada. Niawan, miigwech. May God bless us all.